Welcome to Hello Cantonese. Here's the series of Cantonese lesson for beginners.
Today in Lesson 9, we are going to talk about a very important part of Cantonese grammar, the classifiers, also known as measure words. In English, we sometimes use words like a piece of paper or a bottle of water. In Cantonese, measure words are used every time you talk about quantities, items, or even locations. In this lesson, we will cover how to use basic measure words with numbers, how to ask open-end questions about quantities, and how to combine ne and go with measure words and the open-end question of it. And last but not least, how measure words can show ownership or association. In Cantonese, when you count objects like umbrella, you cannot say one umbrella directly. You must insert a measure word between the number and the noun. Every noun has its own measure word. Mastering them is essential for speaking Cantonese naturally. Let's begin with the most common one, go. Go is a general measure word, often used for people or abstract items, such as 一個人, one people, 兩個手袋, two handbags, 三個窗, three windows. Other measure words are more specific, like 隻 used for animals or a single item from a pair, such as 一隻狗, one dog. Dog is an animal. 兩隻手, two hands. Normally, we will have a pair of hands. One hand is 一隻手. 張 used for counting paper or things with flat surface, like 一張紙, one paper, 兩張錢, two banknotes, 三張枱, three tables. Table is object with surface, so we'll use 張to count it. Some measure words are continuous, such as 碗 bowl, 一碗飯 a bowl of rice, showing rice is served in bowl. 碟 means plate, 兩碟餸 two dishes. The dishes is served in plate. 罐 is can, 三罐汽水 three cans of soft drinks. Now let's begin with this sentence. 我有一把遮. I 有 to have. 一 one 把 the measure word for counting objects with handle. 遮 umbrella. 我有一把遮. I have an umbrella. In lesson 8, we learned structure something like 我有遮. I have umbrella. To express quantity, we will add a number and the corresponding measure word. Another example here, 書枱上面有一盞燈. 書枱上面 on the desk, 有 to have. 一 one, 盞 is the measure word for counting the light or lamp. Historically, 盏 refers to a small vessel. In ancient China, people used a 盏 to hold oil and a wick. Lighting the wick could produce a flame for illumination. This was the traditional oil lamp. Today, we still use 盏 as the measure word for lights and lamps. And 燈 is light. 書枱上面有一盞燈. There's a lamp on the desk. Now we know how to describe the quantity of an object. Let's see how to ask an open-end question about quantity. We have learned 幾 or 幾多 is the question word for asking number in lesson 4 and 5. Asking quantity, we have to use 幾 or 幾多 to replace the number in the sentence, such as 課室入面有幾張枱. 幾 placed in front of the measure word 張. 幾張 how many. 枱 desk. 課室入面 in the classroom? 有 is the main verb means to have. 課室入面有幾張枱? How many desks are there in the classroom? To answer, just replace the number in Gate's place. 課室入面有30張枱. There are 30 desks in the classroom. Here is another example. 你屋企有幾多隻貓? 幾多 the question word. 隻 measure to count animals. 幾多隻貓 how many cats? 你屋企 your home. 你屋企有幾多隻貓 how many cats in your home? 我屋企有10隻貓 There are 10 cats in my home. In Cantonese, measure words are not only used for counting, but also acting after the demonstrated words like 呢 and 個. We have learned the demonstrated pronoun 呢個 this and 嗰個 that in lesson 2. In these phrases, 個 is the measure word for general item or people. The measure word changes depending on what you are pointing at, such as 人. People's measure word is 個. So when pointing at people, we can use 呢個人, these people. If we are talking about 紙 paper, we should change the measure word to 張. 呢張紙 this paper. Then dish 餸 can be 嗰碟餸 that dish. And 燈 can be 嗰盞燈 that light. Let's look at the sample sentence here. 呢部車有4個位. Here, 呢部 is the demonstrated pronoun. 部 is the measure for counting machines. 呢部 this. 車 car. 呢部車 this car. 4個位 4 seats. 位 means seat. Its measure word is 個. 呢部車有4個位. This car has 4 seats. One more example. 呢間屋有3間房同1個廳. In topic, we have 屋 originally means house. Now it can also refer to the flat that people live. 間 is the measure word used for counting house or rooms. 呢間屋 this house 3間房同1個廳 3 rooms and 1 living room. 房 is room and 廳 is living room in Cantonese. 廳 is an open area, so we will use 個 instead of 間 as its measure word. 呢間屋有3間房同1個廳. There are 3 rooms and 1 living room in this house. In everyday speech, we often drop 呢 and 個 and just use the measure as a demonstrated pronoun. Like 間屋有3間房同1個廳 also shows the same meaning. So, measure word alone can act like demonstrated pronouns in spoken Cantonese. We can see more examples like 個盒入面冇嘢 is same as 呢個盒入面冇嘢. The measure word 個 acting as the demonstrated pronoun. 盒 box 入面 inside 嘢 is thing and 冇嘢 is nothing. 個盒入面冇嘢 There's nothing inside the box. And 支筆唔使墨支筆 this pen 唔使 no need 墨 ink 支筆唔使墨 this pen doesn't need ink. For open-end question, we learned using 邊個 to ask which one in the previous lesson. Now we can change 個 to other measure words to ask specific items, such as 邊間係主人房? Since in this sentence, 主人房 master room is the object, So we need to change "個" to the measure word that counting rooms. 邊間係主人房? Which one is the master room? A possible reply can be 呢間係主人房. This is the master room. Measure also shows ownership or association, especially when placed between a pronoun and a noun. For example, 我間大學喺沙田. In Lesson 2, we learned using the word 嘅 to indicate possession or belonging, such as 我嘅大學 means my university. Now we can use measure words to replace 嘅. Here, 間 is the measure word for buildings. The structure, pronoun, measure word, noun shows that the speaker is referring to their specific university, not universities in general. This usage is common in spoken Cantonese and gives the sentence a more concrete and personal feel. 我間 my 間 indicates association, 大學 university, 喺沙田 in Shatin, 我間大學喺沙田, my university is in Shatin. Another example is 細佬隻碗喺廚房. 隻 is the measure word. 細佬 younger brother, 碗 bowl, 細佬隻碗 younger brother's bowl, 喺廚房 in the kitchen. 細佬隻碗喺廚房 younger brother's bowl is in the kitchen. Okay, let's have a quick review of today's lesson. We learned using measure word to show the quantity of specific items. 我有一把遮. How to ask quantity of the object. 課室入面有幾張枱. Then using measure words as demonstrator pronoun. 呢部車有四個位. And using measure word to show possession or belonging. 我間大學喺沙田. That's all for today's lesson. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.